We all have one thing common in us, a hidden detective. We all have that spy who wakes up every time when we have a weird thing around us. Today we are going to read a story of two such siblings who think they are detectives. So yes, today we are at the chapter number 6 of our book Honeycomb Expert Detectives, written by Sharda Dwivedi. This story revolves around two siblings, Nishad and Maya, and a Mr. Nath who lives in their neighborhood. Here, our detectives are Nishad and Maya, who are spying on Mr. Nath because they find him a bit strange. In the next segment, we are going to read the chapter and dive deep into the interesting facts. Now, before that, let's create an outline. So Nishad and Maya are detectives here, where Maya is firm on her belief that he is a crook, whereas Nishad thinks that he is innocent. But the question is that why they are so skeptical about Mr. Nath. And some of the weird things about Mr. Nath are, the first is that he does not talk to anyone and he has no friends. Second weird fact is, he doesn't work anywhere, but still he pays the bill immediately and give tips also. The third is that he had scars on his face. So these are all the facts due to which Maya was doubting Mr. Nath. So this is going to be the story where Nishad thinks that he is an innocent man and wants to be a friend of him, as he also feels that he is very old and weak. But Maya is tenacious about the fact that he is a crook, a criminal. So let's read the chapter. As we walked back towards the clinic, Seven said, here we refers to both the siblings Maya and Nishad. Seven said, he doesn't look like anything like a monster, Maya, but did you see how thin he is? Maybe he is very poor and can't afford to eat. Here Nishad is saying to Maya that he thinks that he is not a monster, but he looks very poor and he cannot afford food. Then Maya replied, he can't be poor if he is a crook on the run. Crook means criminal. He's probably got millions of rupees stashed away somewhere in that room. Stashed away is hidden. So she is saying that he must have a lot of money which is hidden somewhere in the room where Mr. Nath is staying. Do you really think he is a criminal, Maya? He doesn't look like one. But Nishad is continuously taking his side that he doesn't look like a criminal. Of course he is one. And he certainly is not starving. Mr. Mehta told us that Ramesh brings his meals up from the restaurant downstairs. Here Maya is supporting her point by describing him or telling Nishad that he always has his meals from the restaurant which is downstairs. To which Nishad also supported her. But Maya, Mr. Mehta told us he doesn't work anywhere. So how can he possibly have money to pay for food? And to which Maya said, exactly, he must have lots of money hidden somewhere. Maybe in that trunk in his room? It is probably full of silver and gold and jewels and Mr. Nath has a trunk in his room, to which Maya was pointing that the trunk must contain silver or gold or some kind of jewels. What rubbish, Nishad interrupted. I know I'm right, stupid, I told him. By the way, Seven, did you see his scars? I could not. It was too dark. But I bet he got them during a shootout with the police or something. To which Nishad said, Mummy told us quite clearly that they were burn scars. Here both the siblings are discussing the scars which were on the body of Mr. Nath. Maya doubts if the scars were due to some shootout, whereas Nishad supported her mummy's words that they were due to burns. Perhaps the police had to set his house on fire to force him out, I suggested. Seven looked unsure. Here, Maya said, if we believe that those scars were due to some burns, then It must be because the police had set his house on fire so that he can come out and they can arrest him. On the Monday following Mama's birthday, Seven went alone with her to the clinic at Gaunt as I was spending the evening with a school friend. On their mother's birthday, only Seven went to her clinic, but Maya could not as she was with her friend. But when he was returning, Nishad told me he had been to see Mr. Nath, and I felt most annoyed that I had not been there. Now Maya was feeling annoyed because she could not go there. Seven had been quite upset about Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance and was sure that he was starving. Now, gaunt appearance is basically sickly appearance. So, what did Seven observe? That Mr. Nath was looking very sick and he was looking like he was starving. He told me that he had knocked loudly on Mr. Nath's door that evening and said, "Open the door quickly, Mr. Nath." And then Nishad knocked at his door and asked him to open the door. The man had opened it and asked him, "Lost another marble?" Mr. Nath thought that Nishad has lost his another marble. He had obviously recognized my brother. No, he had taken the man's hand in his own and thrust a bar of chocolate into it. Nishad felt that Mr. Nath was very sick. So what he did, he gave him a piece of chocolate. "Did you get a chance to peek into the trunk, Seven?" I asked. And Maya asked that, "Did you get a chance to see into that trunk?" Nishad looked disappointed. "He didn't even ask me in," he said. Then he smiled. "But I did find out something, Maya. I went down to the restaurant where Ramesh works and talked to him." "Good for you, Mr. Detective. I hope you questioned him properly." Seven looked pleased. "Ramesh told me that he takes 2 meals for Mr. Nath every morning and evening and 2 cups of tea. One in the morning and one in the afternoon. Ramesh says he's not very particular about what he eats. It's always the same food. 2 chapatis, some dal and a vegetable. Mr. Nath pays cash and tips well." Here Maya and Nishad are discussing all the facts they have collected from the restaurant or from Ramesh who works there. "Ramesh told me something very strange, Maya. Almost every Sunday he carries 2 lunches to Mr. Nath's room and the same man is with him each time. He is tall, fair, stout and wears spectacles. Ramesh says his visitor talks a lot, unlike Mr. Nath who hardly speaks. They got to know that someone comes every Sunday to Mr. Nath and meet him, and that person is very talkative, whereas Mr. Nath talks very less. And the description of that person or that guest has been discussed here, that he is tall, fair, stout, and he wears spectacles." "Well done, Nishad," I told him. "Now that we have made some progress with our inquiries, we will have to sort out all the facts like expert detectives so that we can trap the crook." "How do you go on, Maya? How can you possibly imagine he is a crook? He looks so ordinary." In this scene, you can see that where Maya is doubting Mr. Nath that he is a crook for sure, but Nishad is still taking his side and saying her that he is so ordinary. "Criminals can look quite ordinary, Smarty," I retorted. "Did you see the picture of the Hyderabadi housebreaker in the papers yesterday? He looked like any man on the street." Here again, Maya is supporting her point by telling him about the Hyderabadi housebreaker, that he looked very ordinary. This was the news in the yesterday's newspaper. To which Nishad looked doubtful. Just then, the monsoons broke the next day. Dark clouds, accompanied by blinding flashes of lightning and roaring rolls of thunder, burst with all their fury, flooding the streets with a heavy downpour. School was to have reopened after the summer holidays, but no traffic could move through the flooded roads, and there was an unexpected holiday. I thought I would spend the time usefully. I sat at my desk in our bedroom with a sheet of paper before me. The next day, their school was about to reopen, but what happened? The monsoons broke. The roads were flooded, so they got an unexpected holiday. And Maya decided to use that time very judicially and very usefully. She sat at her desk with a sheet of paper before her. Let's come to the comprehension check. The first question is, what did Nishad give Mr. Nath and why? So Nishad gave a bar of chocolate to Mr. Nath. And why? Because Nishad thought that he is sick and must be starving. The second question, what is strange about Mr. Nath's Sundays? And the strange thing was that somebody comes to meet him every Sunday. The third question is, why did Nishad and Maya get a holiday? Why? Because the monsoon broke and all the roads were flooded, so they are not able to go to school. So we have seen that Maya was having a paper in front of her and was sitting on her desk writing something. What did she write? She wrote in large block letters, catching a crook. She gave it a headline. Then I began writing. About half an hour later, I turned towards Seven, who was lying on his tummy, chain cupped in the palms, reading comics. Want to hear what I have written? I asked. Now, after half an hour, she has written something. Now, she wants to tell everything to Seven that what she had written. He looked up questioningly. I have listed all the facts we know about Mr. Nath which might help us to trap him. I said, want to hear? And Seven nodded. So in that half an hour, what did Maya write? She wrote all the facts, all the points they have gathered by interrogating the Ramesh or what they have observed. And the fact number 1, I read, his name is Mr. Nath. We must discover his first name. Do you think that's his real name, Maya? Nishad asked. Probably not. Most crooks have an alias. I added a big question mark after Nath. So the first fact was to know his name, either his full name or his real name, because Maya believed that most of the crooks have their other name. Fact number 2. I read on. The tenants at Shankar's house say he's mad, strange and unfriendly. The fact number 2 is that the Mr. Nath has no friend, so he is mad and strange, all the neighbors said. Number 3. He doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. But he did talk to us, Maya, and Mama says he is very polite. He only talked to us because he had to. And since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to be polite. Fact number 4. He doesn't receive any letters. Number 5. He has been living in room number 10 of Shankar house for more than a year. Number 6. He doesn't work and sits in his room all the day. Number 7. The kids in Shankar house and even some of the grown-ups are scared of him. Number 8. He has no visitors except for a spectacled, fair, fat man who visits him on Sundays for lunch. And number 9. Food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh from the restaurant downstairs. He doesn't care what he eats, pays his bill immediately and tips well. That's end my list. Have I forgotten anything, sir? So these were all the facts that were gathered by Maya and Nishad. But still, Nishad was not convinced that he is a crook. After that, Maya asked Nishad if she has forgotten anything to write. Nishad had obviously not been paying too much attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, poor man Maya, he must be so lonely if he doesn't have any friends. How can a crook have friends, idiot? I almost shouted. At least he has one friend, the one who meets him on Sundays. A brilliant thought occurred to me just then. That man must be Mr. Nath's accomplice in crime. Maybe he keeps all the loot and comes now and then to give part of it to his partner, Mr. Nath, for expenses. That's it. I'm sure I'm right. Now, when they were discussing about his friends, Maya struck with the point that the man who comes on Sunday must be his accomplice. Accomplice is partner in crime or one who helps in crime. So she said that the person must have all the loot and he comes very frequently to pay him for his expenses. If you insist on calling him a criminal, I don't think I want to discuss anything with you, Maya, said Nishad angrily. He can't be such a bad man if he gives Ramesh such generous tips. Nishad got totally annoyed with her sister. Ramesh probably knows something about his past, so Mr. Nath must be bribing him to keep quiet. Nishad glared at me with his arms tightly crossed across his chest. I was beginning to get fed up with him. How can we make any progress with our investigations if you take that attitude, Seven? I asked. I will cooperate only if you give up this idea about him being an escaped crook. You really make me angry. Now Nishad is actually in anger that she is continuously calling him crook. I almost hit him. Now Maya almost hit him. I make you angry, you stupid, I shouted. You make me mad. Try to understand, Seven, I told him. If he has lived in Shankar's house for a year and has not made a single friend, there is something wrong. He is obviously scared that someone will recognize him and give him up to the cops. Maybe no one has tried to make friends with him, Nishad protested. Why should anyone bother? You have seen what a nasty bear he is. I don't care. I like him and I'm going to try and be his friend. Friends with a crook? Ha! You are crazy, Seven. The cops will take you to jail with him. Do you want that to happen, you idiot? Nishad merely glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. My theories seemed to have made no impression on him at all. Did you enjoy the spying of these siblings? Okay, see you very soon in the next video with the back exercise of this chapter. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.